Hey, I'm Zach.
I'm Bobby.
I'm Jesse.
And I'm Brent.
You're watching
Talking Mars on Now You Know.
All right,
Slate it
welcome
up,
to Talking Mars, episode 5. We just got back from watching the episode, and it was an interesting episode. Brent, you were mentioning it might be your favorite.
I
so
love
far.
this episode. I am so over the fact that the science just makes no sense in the show anymore.
Yeah,
And I
they-
just love that they're just going full on crazy. you know?
Drama.
They just are just like we're just gonna start killing people and having things blow up and people having psychotic breaks and just being like, screw the science, who cares?
It is true.
I love
This is the one
It's
episode
so
where
ridiculous.
science has. I mean, even when they cut back to 2016, it's all about psychology. So anything goes.
Yeah, I think they basically have established at this point that we don't care about the science anymore.
Yeah.
We're just going to talk about the human part of it and get on board
Yeah.
because we're going
Yeah, if you made it through
full
episode
throttle into Crazy Town.
Yeah, it feels like they're done with 2016. They're kind of just like,
Yeah.
all right, we'll kind of explain some stuff,
You
but
get it. You
that's-
get it.
I do want to point out a couple things that I was at least happy to see.
Okay.
So they went out in the dust storm. No one got blown over.
So that was nice.
I was totally expecting someone to go whoa and get blown off.
Didn't
Like the
the
Martian.
rover get blown in the wind when he was sitting there? Javier was sitting there talking to Robert. Didn't the rover kind of shake?
Oh,
No,
the
yeah,
wind?
they're
I
moving.
did.
They're moving along.
No,
when they were-
after
No,
they were
I think
parked.
after
when he was parked, yeah. I think
I
it
felt
did.
like it was being shaken by wind.
I
didn't
remember that.
I didn't notice that.
Good,
You
no,
could be
I-
right.
I
You could be
hope-
right.
So
I
I'm
didn't
glad
notice
that
it.
they more accurately represented. They talked about how the dust on Mars is super fine, Malcolm dust,
Yep.
and that he wasn't like whoa.
yeah.
So that was good.
Another problem was again leading to the problem of having not enough cable.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What is up with
Oh
that?
my
Get
God.
more
No,
cable.
Also, it's so convenient that, like, the rover, this is as far as I can go because of the terrain.
Do you think they go through the Hollywood trick list and like, oh, you know what we could do? Not enough cable.
Yeah.
You think that would have been the first thing on their grocery list when the new team started
Yeah.
heading over?
Yeah.
More cable.
Yeah,
Right.
200 meters is not enough.
Yeah, right. Also,
Where's Comcast when you need them?
Oh boy.
I don't know.
Let's talk about the fact that they took the nuclear power plant offline because the British woman said to do it, right? Because this, and then the dust storm happened, and she
Of
kept
course.
repeating this was a bulletproof plan.
Yeah.
Even that it wasn't.
Also, and she was like, this is the fastest dust storm we've ever
Yeah.
seen.
Right.
Right.
Don't we all know from Earth experience that weather is unpredictable?
Yeah.
Right.
You can have the best weather prediction, it's never right. So
Yeah, right.
why would they have used that as the reason to take it offline?
Right.
A.
B, where the hell is this junction box? Okay? I mean, they landed the spacecraft or whatever, and then they built their HAB module in a pit. And so, I don't know what's going on top. I mean, you got the solar arrays, and you got the nuclear power plant.
Maybe you have to keep that nuclear power plant really far away from the HAB
Why?
in
Because
case it
it's
blows up.
nuclear. Yeah.
Well, that means there's
doesn't-
plenty of cable for that,
I
apparently.
mean, but there's no, like...
And
gotta
also,
run a
when you do
wire.
attach the cables to the junction box, why not make them dust proof?
Right,
Or
or
lightning
where is
proof.
this junction box connected to begin with? Couldn't they just go there and then follow the cord the
Right.
whole way to
Well,
it?
and it's
Right.
got to
Yeah.
be connected to the base, right?
Exactly.
So he could have just
Right.
like, I'm gonna follow the cord
there
the
should
entire
be,
way.
there should be like a way to like attach yourself to a rope that takes you to the junction box and back.
Right.
Because they
It's
should have
like they
planned for
weren't-
the dust storms.
It's like they forgot that they were on Mars.
Yeah.
It's like they weren't planning
Another
for
thing
Mars.
that really has been bothering me is you have all these Earth experts and scientists who are watching this trip,
Yep.
and they're never in contact with them saying what they think they
It's
should
only
do.
June.
No, they're just
Yeah.
trying to push them, and then it's like this fake Elon. He's like, we have to make them go more. We have to do more.
Right.
Ambition is what's gonna get. We're already on Mars,
Right,
buddy.
they're already
Like,
on Mars, and they're already pushing and like what this whole nano wire thing. First of all, it's a bunch of bullshit, and then second of all, wasn't going to do much.
All right, favorite line in the show for me was, "There's no way I'm letting you go out there."
Followed briefly by
Then literally 15 seconds later, okay, good luck.
Right.
What?
Yeah.
There's no way.
She has a
Oh, I mean-
hard command of this crew. You know?
And then they went out there and they solved the problem. So it's like,
But also, they were going to freeze to death. All of them were going to die if they didn't go solve the problem.
Right.
yeah.
So
it's like,
her
is
solution
she a
was-
good commander? If she's
Although-
telling them to stay?
She's a bad commander. I'm sorry. if you allow your botanist to walk out of the lab, why is
No
this-
safety.
Can
My
we-
job is
can
to
we-
keep everyone safe.
Can we talk about this?
Yeah, that's
There's a door in the hab that just goes to space. Hey, why not build an airlock? Why isn't it an airlock? Why'd you build a door?
Stop swearing! Brent has to edit all of those out.
What's crazy is like you can't lock the door from the mission control place. Like you can't be like, we're gonna not let that open because that would be detrimental.
How
Like,
many people did she have to shove out of her way to get to her husband?
it's
It was
so
like
good.
20, 30 people. How many people are in the house?
And then the last one, she's like, oh, Brian, you have to block this out too.
Blur that.
Bam! Shuts the door in the guy's face, kills 2 people.
there was
love that. That
enough
was so
time for
funny.
him to get out, but she was just like, no, this is dramatic.
That was so
Also,
amazing.
all you have to do to open the door to space is button, latch. Like, there wouldn't be any kind of
There was
like,
no warning.
Like,
Warning.
Or like there's no like
You're gonna
button. There's
die.
no like they were watching them on the security camera and there's no way to say like, hey everyone, there's a botanist trying to kill himself.
Yeah.
Someone save it.
Yeah, wouldn't that have been the better communication?
it was-
Go stop the botanist.
Yeah.
There are people right near him.
Right.
Like it wasn't like he was
Could've run in
trying.
there.
It wasn't like he was trying to do this evil plan where he was like, oh they're noticing. I got to open the door quick.
Right.
It would have
Yeah.
been like, oh, oops.
Or how about use the intercom to be like, Fred?
Fred.
Yeah.
Back to Earth.
Hello.
It's your mommy
Mars
talking.
and Fred.
Yes.
Your Ivy needs help.
Oh yeah.
Go talk
Come
to the
upstairs,
Ivies,
Fred.
please.
Yeah.
Don't kill the plants.
Oh man.
okay,
that was
so
amazing.
Did no one notice that he was flipping? This would have taken weeks for him to slowly flip out, right? He would have been talking to plants and sleeping with the plants.
Right.
Like, no one
Well, I
noticed.
mean, Lavender noticed, but she did not say anything. We're just gonna call her Lavender.
Yeah,
That's
that's
her
her
name.
name, yeah.
please,
Lavender.
please ship me his medical records. Whoa.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Were they on a slow boat or something?
Whoa. Like.
Yeah. Also, like, you know, like that Mars can affect your mental health. It's not just gonna be like, oh well, he has a tendency to just
Right.
randomly walk outdoors on Mars.
And also, again, going back to like having human experts on Earth, why is she the only one in
I
charge
know.
of like evaluating people and being like, oh, you know what? I think he's a risky character. Like, why aren't the people on Earth being like, you know, why aren't
Lock
you,
him down.
Why isn't
That was,
everyone
that was
checking
also
in?
one of the shortest psychiatric evaluations
Oh,
I've
yeah.
ever seen. Look into your eyes, ask you 3 questions, goodbye.
You know, it's
I
okay
think
to
It's
feel
all behind
homesick.
the eyes. It's in the
I think
eyes.
he's got a lot of problems.
Yeah.
He's got a serious case of crazy eyes.
Are you-
now
do
he's
you
got no eyes.
And the weird
He's
thing
dead.
was he was acting almost normal in that situation. Like,
He was.
do you
Yeah.
feel
That was the
homesick?
closest to
No,
normal
not
he's
really.
been the entire time.
That's what I would have said. I'd been like, no, I don't feel that homesick.
Right.
It's okay. You can feel homesick. That would be normal.
Yeah. Also, how many doors are there? There are probably tons of doors in this whole facility.
Right, is that-
What if you didn't know that led to the outside of
Yeah.
Mars?
It'd be like,
Oh,
see
yeah.
you later, guys. Oh, shit, wrong door.
Wait.
I'm gonna go get some lunch real quick. Destroys all the plants. Let's talk about that too. The plants are all gone now.
And
Yeah,
why
those are gone.
aren't the things always sealed off?
Right.
Yeah.
Why isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I know that takes power. Maybe it's just a door that you open and close. But like, why is everything just open?
Why when
There's
they're
gonna be leaks.
Why when they're
Yeah.
running out of power and it's getting colder by 3 degrees
an hour.
every hour?
Yeah.
Why weren't they all huddled into one room to conserve body heat?
Right.
And why weren't they all using blankets and space mylar blankets?
blankets.
And why was it all just like people were scattered and somewhere on the floor?
With a sweater from Kohl's.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there was like a guy in a hoodie, and he was
There's a
just
guy
like,
in a-
I'm pretty cold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, I didn't pack anything. Did you pack anything?
Right,
Cooler?
it's like,
Want some coffee? Coffee. Oh yeah, that'll warm me up.
and like,
Negative 200
what's
degrees
up with
out.
the infinity scarves? There were like 4 infinity scarves in this thing. They're
It's
not-
really in fashion.
Why is there no
2037
outfit that everyone wears? Like,
yeah, I mean, you should have an emergency outfit. You'd have one of those things that you have, like, what is it, on Deadliest Catch, where it's the outfit that you're gonna go in the water for an extended period of time. Hope you
Maintains
survive.
body heat.
Right. You'd be wearing that. You'd be. I'm not saying you'd be toasty, but like you'd be
Alive.
not
But
freezing.
But if it had
Yeah.
failed, if their mission had failed, if Robert hadn't been able to get to the junction box, they were all going to die. And yet, none of them were really like. I would have been glued to the transmission coming
Right.
from the box, and I would have been giving ideas and like right? And all of Earth would have been watching. This would have
Right.
been a big moment of life or death.
All the
And, like-
extras in the Mars station look like they're just a bunch of interns.
Yeah.
Look like they're just like, oh, will you just write down a bunch of data or something? And they just
Most of the time, they're not doing anything. They're just
Right.
sitting around reading dusty copies of National Geographic. Okay, first of all, there's dust in the Hab. That's not good.
Yeah.
How did dust get in the Hab?
Right.
Just talk about how the talcum powder dust on Mars would destroy your lungs.
Right.
not good. And then they're just also just walking in the hallways.
Also,
Why are they all walking in the hallways?
why would you ship up to Mars a copy of National Geographic?
Right.
I
You
know,
got
they
iPads,
sponsor
people.
I know you sponsor the show. Wouldn't it be, it's 2037, wouldn't it be a digital copy on your tab that could be updated? Why? Oh, I got
Well-
this old copy.
you-
of-
Maybe it's an old copy because they're like, oh, we have sentimental books, and that's all they could do
Or
because
you
there's
could
no
bring
electricity.
It's
a
a
book
lot of
like
weight.
called like Mars Weather and What to Do, like something that was relevant, not just like Mars, the TV show. Check it out.
When I saw the lightning storms at the beginning of the episode or the end of the last episode, I thought, this is fake. There's no lightning on Mars. But I was interested to see that if the dust goes up high enough in the atmosphere, 20 to 30 kilometers, it can get charged and you can get lightning. So that was
That's pretty
news
cool.
to me. So a question
Again,
came up during the
science
show
info.
about wind turbines.
By
Bobby
science.
was asking, could you use wind turbines since many of the months there's wind but no sun? So is that a possibility, wind turbine expert?
I would say not really. No. The efficiency of your wind turbine or the power that it generates is directly relative to the density of the fluid that is powering it. So, for instance, a wind turbine generates about 2 megawatts. The newer, brand spanking new wind turbine will generate 2 megawatts. A theoretical ocean current turbine of a similar diameter will generate whopping times more power because the ocean is made of water and water is much denser than air. And on Mars, you have a fraction of the air
Density.
pressure.
Mhm.
So the density of the air is a lot lower. So just like we were talking about the drones before needing huge propellers, a wind turbine would need huge propellers on Mars to do anything. And even then, I don't think it wouldn't be worth it, especially for the materials that you'd be bringing up.
So a question comes up, if wind wouldn't work, we know that the world's largest solar plant in India, it has robotic solar panel cleaners that go up and down robotically to clean it. Why wouldn't they have had robotic cleaners on their solar panels on Mars so that they would continually be cleaning the dust off? Or is it that the dust is just blocking out the sun altogether?
I think it's blocking out the
Yeah.
sun altogether.
Okay, so if they knew that this was such an important thing that you'd have solar and nuclear, why did they take the nuclear offline?
Because it was
Because
convenient.
they're Brits.
They had to, or else this would not have been a problem.
I mean, it was all about the expansion. They were going to replace the wire with the new nano wire, which was going to increase the power output, which would mean that they could expand more.
So now, if it's so important that you send really the right people to Mars, why wouldn't you put everyone who's possibly going to Mars through a simulation first for like 12 months and see how they work out, which would eliminate people like, what's his name? Paul. Because
Good
Paul
old Paul.
would never have made it through 12 months. And so, like, why wouldn't that just be pre-required?
Yeah,
Well, I
it
think
would be.
part of it's I think part of the reason that they didn't do that was because 12 months is like you'd have to plan very far in advance, right? And it seems kind of like they weren't doing that, or at least that's what I'm kind of like the vibe I'm getting is like they just kind of were like, hey, let's ship these experts up, just like let's just casually.
I just feel like, starting soon, we would start making Mars academies where we'd start classes who learn all this stuff and then go through these periods of living together in habs, right, and seeing which ones made it to the next step. Because we heard about how the Russians did the Mars 500 experiment,
Right.
and out of 6 crew members, 4 basically failed, right? 4
Right.
had problems, 2 went on. If that ratio stays true, that means you're gonna have to put a lot of people through the program to get enough.
Then there's
ready.
the question of like if putting someone through that twice might make it
Do you think?
worse.
Do you think? Yeah, but if that's true, then we're all doomed, right? Because once we go to Mars, you're going to be there for longer than 12
True.
months.
Yeah.
Well,
Good
and
point.
here's another thing which I think is weird about the show is that they have all of these extras in the show, all of these people who are apparently working and interacting with each other on the Mars habitat, but we only really focus on the 4 original crew members and
And then
Paul and the wife, and then this Oliver guy who made
Like,
another.
so you're
appearance
wondering
that-
what they do?
Well, the thing is, with the Mars 500, there were only 6 of them,
Mhm.
and with the what was that other one in Hawaii?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There's
The
only
NASA one.
4.
It varies.
It varies.
Right.
But that crew size seems much smaller, and their hab seems much smaller compared to what they have already built out.
I wish what they had done in the 2037 segment was talk about some of the same issues that we learned about in the 2016 segment. So, for instance, talk about why there's so many people. And they could have mentioned the reason we have extra people is so that you can form friendships and not have to be friends with everyone on the crew. Or the other thing is we see them walking and walking and walking in this
Right.
big hab. It looks like a big hab to me. And maybe that is because you need room to get away from each other and to have your own little space, right?
Right.
They're not all confined to this one little room like they are in the NASA hab.
Right. And it seems like that would solve a lot of the problems, and it seems like
But they don't address it in the drama. It would be nice if they were like talked about it like
go
you
take
know,
a walk.
Yeah, get out
Go
of here.
take a
I need
lap
my
or something,
space.
yeah.
You know, or because they do seem to be spread far apart. In fact, when she had to get to save her husband,
Right.
she was running and running and running and can't make it in time.
It's
Paul,
crazy.
Paul.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, Paul, my new favorite character. You
Yeah.
crazy.
Your new favorite
crazy.
character, he's dead.
Yes, he will stay my favorite character
Yeah.
through the rest of the show, just for his 2 episodes
He's
of
the wild
craziness.
card.
Because he slept naked with plants.
Right.
Maybe he'll come back as a White Walker or something.
How do you like? I want to know if he was like that on Earth. Did he talk to plants on Earth?
That
too?
was another one of my
Like-
favorite lines. They're only babies.
And then he proceeds to kill them all.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. When he opens the door, yeah.
I'm sorry.
It's
You,
the power
again,
back,
you have
though.
all these experts on Earth who would be feeding information down to Mars, and they know they're running out of power, and they would be doing algorithms and graphs, and they'd be going, well, the first thing has to shut off is the plants,
Right.
right? No question. Not half power, not quarter power. Shut the thing down. Those are dead, right? But instead, it's like, oh, I'll just leave a few light bulbs on. What was the point? Did they need those to eat? No.
Right.
They're sending more ships with food, so this is just an experiment. So,
Right.
Yeah.
isn't life come before experiments?
And
they
it
did
seems
say-
like it would be the perfect opportunity to test some like low level light plants, or
Right.
like instead of growing ivy, which is why are you growing ivy? You'd be growing, like some moss or some
yeah,
kind
right.
of like
Algae.
right, like
Peanuts.
I wonder what would work.
Bobby would be growing peanuts.
Well, I mean, people might have allergies.
That would be hilarious. Bobby walks in, he's like, I grew some peanuts, guys.
Oh, this is the free zone!
But they're hybrid peanuts, so they're
I see.
hypoallergenic.
Another thing, it's 2037, and we're still screwing light bulbs into sockets.
Right.
We're already stopped doing
There's a
that
lot
now.
of-
Right.
Right. When in The Martian, it was interesting that most of the things seemed very like NASA had sent them. They
Right.
seemed like it was
They were thought out.
everything was thought out. The only thing that wasn't thought out was like the cross they used to start the fire thing with.
Whereas this light bulb, which has to have a vacuum in it and it's
Right.
ginormous, would take up so much space, and if it broke, it doesn't work. Whereas LEDs don't have that requirement, so of course it'd all be LEDs.
There's a lot of things in this show that whoever the prop master was just sort of probably given like, hey, here's $300, go
Go to Home
lab
Depot.
stuff.
You
Is
used
there
to
they
buy
have
an
the-
LED for 12 cents.
No,
So-
absolutely, but they have this they've got that big magnifying glass thing.
Mm-hmm.
There was an acetylene torch sitting there, or a butane torch just sitting on the table. You're in Mars, you have a very special atmosphere in your hab, like you wouldn't just be burning it and like
Also, this is the most
Light some
inefficient
candles.
growing of plants I've ever seen. So,
Yeah.
I mean, they're growing them in pots. This would all be some kind of aquaponics and
Yeah.
with very intensive and efficient lights that are close to the plants. Instead,
Right.
they had the lights way up here, the plants down here. We all know that it's logarithmic, so you'd want to bring the lights right down to the plants, and,
Right.
and they're not even. So, I mean, the experts who are helping them make the show, they're non-existent.
And wouldn't there be more than one botanist?
There are. There's Javier and there's Paul. Well, now there's one. But
Wait, Javier's a
Javier's
botanist?
a botanist?
yeah, I'm pretty
He
sure.
said earlier
He was
on.
the one who was like doing all the work with
Oh,
the.
that's right.
Right, he was like, oh,
so why would
finally
he be helping Paul?
Because
Well, because he was.
Because he's too
was
busy.
muscled
That's
up.
why they had to get him out onto the surface.
No, he's-
That's why that turned into not a big deal.
He's too busy ignoring his relationship with
Lavender.
Lavender.
there was one moment where he's about to go leave on this perilous mission, and they like just hold on, like, here, give me your hand. Just like they like, no, other hand. They like, he's leaving, and they just like look at each other and like he just
Lavender?
like walks off. Yeah.
Wait, and this episode?
Yeah, you didn't notice
I don't
that?
I didn't
that
notice
part.
that.
It was
missed it, too.
very subtle.
That is weird.
They played up the whole thing between them so much last episode that I thought something was going to happen this episode.
Right, nothing.
But like
happened.
no,
Very.
I mean, that was it. That was the only thing to suggest, to hint that it, something
Wow.
was still going on.
They skip over a lot of stuff.
But I mean, it wasn't even like, be careful, I will miss you, be careful, Lavender, Lavender. Like, there was none of that. It was just like, bye.
See ya.
Have fun on the surface of Mars in a dust storm.
Was the name of this episode Shackleton's Carpenter? Remember?
Was it?
So Shackleton was the
The guy
explorer
from the.
in Antarctica, and his carpenter was kind of crazy, so he
Yeah.
had to take him with him so that he wouldn't be left behind with the crew. And I just felt like this was the homage to that carpenter who
Right.
was
Anna's
Right.
botanist.
Here's
probably trying to drill holes in the boat the whole time.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make a hole in the boat.
well at least if you walk out the door on a boat into the ocean, like you're not killing
You get
everyone
back
else.
in.
Right.
That's another thing, though. What I mean, is that an accurate like visual of what would happen with the pressure? Like, what is the pressure difference on Mars?
It's about a tenth or so, the atmospheric
Because
pressure.
remember the
Yeah, I mean,
Martian? It was like all he did was put up like a tarp, and it was like remember there was like that hole in the
Right.
and they put up a tarp and it was like and it just like blew around.
I did wonder about that, and I was like quite amazed that duct tape and tarps worked.
Yeah, like which one's more realistic?
Right.
I wonder.
Because if that's the case, then just some plastic could have, just blocked off that door.
Yeah,
Right.
It wouldn't have been so horrible. Like people wouldn't have died immediately.
yeah.
Right.
So
It looked like in
It
this
would've
case, if
been-
the wife didn't shut the door,
Right,
that
they-
the door would have come flying shut anyway.
Right.
Because of the pressure seemed like intense.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Everything was like, wow.
You'd really need to have a bunch of numbers in front of you to.
They could
Yeah.
have,
what the
and they
pressure
could have
was.
easily explained
True.
away. They could have explained that they didn't have time to build the airlock yet, and they could have like hinted at it at the beginning of
Right.
the episode.
Right,
It was
yeah.
a little like foreshadowing of
Yeah.
like, well,
Right, it could
we'll
have
get
been
to
like-
that tomorrow.
Right, like,
When
are you gonna build my airlock? And
Right.
then they'd have been like, well, we haven't done it yet, and just don't open the door.
Don't be stupid enough.
Did anyone else think it was a little bit cheesy with the whole drawing and like the wife looking at the drawing and be like, oh my god, he's recreating
Yeah,
his
yeah.
drawing!
Oh
The
my God.
cheesiest
It's like,
part was
oh,
that she
come on.
looked at the drawing, put it down, time passes. Then she's putting away stuff. She looks at the drawing, and then there's a call, and she's like, "Oh, I'm a little worried now."
And she doesn't go to him. She goes to the main.
Yeah,
She goes to
that's
the
what I
main
was
thing.
like. The main control people called the captain, right? They called Hannah,
Right.
And then she was like, "Well, I'm gonna go anyway.
Right.
I'm just gonna,
Right,
I'm just gonna mosey on down there. I'm the captain too."
With the
there
picture,
was-
by the way.
Yeah.
It's not like she didn't know where he was. He's obviously in the thing because he didn't believe.
It's always there.
And then,
Consumed by his wife.
and then, like, I don't know if this was just to drag people's faces, but like to show her making the connection. But like then she's like looking at him with this like perfect view of like this picture, and then she like is like,
She put them together.
It's like-
Here's my other thing. Earth would be watching all these same cameras,
Yeah.
and they would because this isn't like a private place. This
Right.
is so they've been watching for months and seeing what was going on, and they would have been alerted to the fact that Paul was going
Yeah.
crazy, and they would have, psychologists on Earth would have said, check out Paul way before this happened.
Houston,
your
crazy plant guy, you want to walk out?
Exactly.
well, so I think
Stop sleeping with the plants.
I think one of the things is that since they had low power, all of their cameras were off.
Right.
Okay.
And so that's why
Yeah, but
when
the
the
time
power
difference.
came back on, that's why Oliver
Cameras
was
went
able
put
to
down.
see it.
That wasn't when that started though. He was going crazy from
Yeah.
the
He was-
beginning. He was
yeah.
in the beginning, like that first interaction with him and Javier.
Yeah.
Like he was crazy. Like
Right.
that was.
Which leads to Bobby's question of do they have jail cells?
They should.
I mean, maybe timeout cells.
Like a straitjacket would have been good for Paul.
Because out of all those people, there's probably a couple people who are going to lose it.
And you don't want to isolate them more to make them like.
And so do they
More
have
crazy, but-
right, do they have protocols to like what if someone goes so crazy you can't jeopardize the whole mission, right?
Right,
You must
you
have
need
to
a
have a
tranquilizer
tribunal or
dart.
something. But but what I'm saying is like let's say that Jesse goes so crazy on the mission, we all get together and we're like, I'm sorry, he's lost it, he's not coming back. Do we like have the authority to like kill him?
No.
But I mean, that must be discussed because
Yeah.
you know it's going to happen.
Right.
I feel like we should let the therapist do their job first, but she didn't really do her job. She kind of
No.
just
Right.
like,
Right.
She
Well,
should've-
are you okay?
I mean, is her job to be a therapist? Is that, or is
That's
she
why
just
she's
like
there.
evaluating?
She's part
people?
She's the medical team.
Yeah.
So one of the things is that they make this analog to Shackleton's Carpenter, and I think that I don't think it's that fair, because so Shackleton's going to the South Pole, and he's looking for people or whatever. He doesn't have the same resources that the organization has
Right.
now. Like they have global resources as
Yeah.
opposed to an individual's resources or a small team's. Like there should be there. I know that there is huge interest to go to Mars, so they have a large pool of people that they can.
So you're
be
saying that the
testing.
people that they've sent would have been much higher caliber.
Right.
They're
I
not
think-
showing
well,
themselves.
I mean-
I think all of them should be of a higher caliber, because they would have been testing them, culling the herd or whatever, finding the ones that were the best.
Yeah.
And I mean, I guess the way that they write around that is that he's the
Right.
husband of the
okay.
thing.
Yeah,
but-
I think that's a pretty good rule. Don't just bring along your husband just because he's also a scientist, right? He clearly did not want to be on Mars.
Right.
He was daydreaming of Earth, and he was just like, "Arr, stupid wife."
Yeah, and I think
Like-
they're just trying to show how bad of a leader Hana is too, because like Ben would not have let that guy walk around the pods just by himself. Ben would have been like,
I am missing Ben.
I'm keeping you away from the people,
Yes.
just like the
I-
guy on the other story.
I think if Ben were alive, this mission would be going a lot better.
Yeah.
I think he has the right skills where they don't seem to have a leader here.
right.
I'd be interested to see an alternative version where Ben survives.
Yeah.
Mars.
Everything's just going swimmingly.
Mars done right.
Yeah, sure. We'll have that done next week.
The storm just like passes over.
But can we talk about one issue that marriage? Okay, so there's one married couple, and we saw how that went. But you can't send one half of a married couple to Mars, it seems to me, because even though you can do it to a space station, that's a long time, that's 12 months, right? That you maybe can weather a marriage. But if you send your spouse to Mars, I mean, that they already said that's going to you have to probably plan for being there for like a decade.
Yeah.
So
Or
that
more.
means you're eliminating all married people probably from this mission. And married people show one cool tendency usually, which is stability. Right? So you're going to either have to send a lot of young people who haven't gotten to that point yet where they're married, or you're going to have to send couples, which we're seeing may not be good, I don't know. Or maybe you're going to have to train couples to do well in space together. But I just think this is an issue we should be talking about if we're going to go to Mars, because do you either want to send a lot of single people, or do you want to have couples that can barely make it on Earth? Because now you're going to put them through tremendous stresses on Mars.
well, I mean, there's something to be said about couples who are stable versus a couple like them who aren't.
I think part of it was like, just because, I mean, if you're going to send a couple, they both have to really, really want to go to Mars, right?
Yeah.
Like, it was very clear that Paul was like, he did not really want to go to Mars. He was just kind of doing it, and then
For her?
Yeah, like, and he wanted, like, he was talking about Earth and, the way that he was interacting with or talking to the camera originally when he was telling his parents how to water his plants. Like, it was to me, it seemed very clear that he didn't want to be on Mars. And I think that's like, if it is fine to send couples as long as, they're both on the same page about, where they want to be.
They're not showing that they've given any thought to human interaction at all. So they know there's going to be dust storms on Mars, even if it didn't happen to be this early or whatever, right? So you're going to have to spend weeks and weeks stuck with very little to do, and yet they have National Geographics and children's books. Like,
There's some chessboards too.
and some
Couple
chessboards with dust on them. But like, they didn't show that there was any group activities or any kind of like
Cooperative.
Right.
thing.
Right,
And
chess
then
is
when they
very
get out of it, she finds the whiskey bottle and she's like, "Hey everybody, have a swig."
Right.
Yeah, the isopropyl.
Yeah.
Whiskey?
I don't know
I
what
mean-
it was.
I'm sorry. If I was making a Mars mission, I would not be shipping up any alcohol.
It seemed like it was
You
like
can't-
made
there
in
is
lab.
no margin
I
for
think that was like
mistakes.
DIY.
That was ethanol.
That
From the plants.
scene made me really mad because she just like poured it in the cap and was like, oh, and just like, spilt it. And I'm like, all right, well, if you are gonna drink, like,
You're being wasteful.
you're being very
Well,
wasteful.
and here's another thing. The plants, they know they can't support them. And then they just sort of let them. Well, let's just keep them there. Let's let them wither and die. They're full of water.
Right.
They're full of
Nutrients for the other plants.
biomass,
Right.
Yeah.
all sorts of great
Right.
stuff. You're not just gonna.
You have
let
plenty of
them wither.
interns who could be cleaning up the mess, and
Right.
they were not doing it.
It seems like Paul
And I
was the
mean-
only one who cared about the plants.
And Paul
Yeah.
could have been like doing that, been like, well, I know that there is no power now, but there will be, so I'm going to compost this
Right.
stuff and turn it into great dirt for my next plants.
Yeah,
And let's talk about Ed for a second here. So Ed seemed like a real visionary at the beginning of this series, and now he seems like a capitalist. He's like, we own the rights to the hybrids, we own the rockets.
Yeah, he's becoming
Like-
very flat for me.
Yeah.
And he's really pushing the deadlines too much. Like he's just like, oh, we have a little bit of progress. Let's try and make it tremendous progress.
Right.
Like, keep going faster and
I
faster.
think he's
and
just
faster.
getting old. Midlife
Yeah.
crisis.
Yeah, I
I
know.
want to see stuff
Yes.
happen.
I want to be on Mars. Why aren't we there
Maybe
yet?
that's
Yeah.
it.
But I mean, every day there would be small discoveries that would just constantly,
Yeah.
people would just be, the media would just be all over this. It's the most, it would be, I mean, it's the greatest achievement in mankind,
Yeah, it would
and they're
be the
just sort
number
of
one
treating
story.
it like it's a startup.
Right.
They're like, well, it's not doing that great. Like,
Right.
everyone would be excited about it. Everyone would be, doing
Yeah.
stuff about it. This is a show about it,
Mm.
and we're making a YouTube video about it because it's that interesting.
Also, I'm really disappointed in Hannah's sister on Earth. She's in charge of the General Assembly, right?
Right.
And she doesn't ever lobby for her sister or for the people on Mars.
No.
She just says to Ed, "Oh, you blew it. You made the wrong decision." But she was there during that decision being made. She could have spoken up. She didn't.
Right.
She could have said, "No, you're going too fast.
And
Don't,
why
don't
is
risk
she
their lives."
the only one
That
person that we get to
cares.
focus on?
Right.
Like, there's no
Right.
scientists back on
Right.
Earth who are like, I've learned something or anything. It's
Right.
just like,
Yeah.
And the
it's-
board, they like want it to fail. It's so funny. They're like,
China's gonna
we're-
pull out
They're
if-
like waiting for it to
Yeah.
fail.
Yeah, like what Okay, what
Yeah,
happens
China-
if people pull out? Like, is there like a little like a backup plan that's like, hey, we're not going to strand all these astronauts.
Yeah, you
We're
brought a
gonna
good
bring
point
them
up.
home.
They're like, what if China pulls out? Okay, so if China pulls out, does that mean that all these people just starve to death on Mars? Like, what?
Yeah,
The
that-
rocket
that's
doesn't
pretty
seem to be in
messed
very
up.
good shape. The rocket they came in probably won't fit
well,
that
no,
many
there's
people,
a
too.
couple.
Oh, there's more rockets.
But do they have a
Do
way
they
to
have
get
the
off the
fuel yet?
planet?
I don't know.
I don't think like that was part of the plan, right? Because they're
Shouldn't
supposed
that be
to
an
do
early
that.
part of the plan that you have a backup rocket waiting on Mars to get off the planet?
It should be.
That would
think
that would
it's-
make sense.
I think it's quite a commitment, this mission. It wasn't like a.
A commitment, like a one-way commitment?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is supposed to be a one-way.
I don't.
But these people do not seem
They
cut
do
out
not
for that.
act like. Oh, no, none of them seem like they're cut out for pretty much anything. I don't think they do well on a cruise. Let's be honest.
Yeah. It's a bad group. Honestly, like, the show is interesting because it's getting more dramatic, but honestly, at this point, I'm just looking forward to the drama more than the science.
For me, it's almost like hate watching. Like it's the same way I watch American Horror Story. It's so dumb and ridiculous, and nothing makes sense, but it's so hilariously dumb
Well,
and it's entertaining.
And that's a good point, and that's kind of
Watch.
sad because we've gotten to the point now where we're just kind of hoping they fail in a way because I don't really care about most of the characters. And
Yeah,
yet,
right.
And yet, this is a show about hope and about discovery, and so it's taken us on
They
this
dropped the
journey.
ball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They dropped the ball.
I think we can blame it on the theme song.
Let's talk about the theme.
They're coming in too fast now.
Can one of our viewers please help us? 182 seconds is mentioned in the theme song.
2 seconds.
I think it might be how long it takes to like
Is that
fall
the intro?
to Earth.
It's in the
Yeah,
intro.
No. Is that the length of the intro?
Oh,
Seems
that
a
would
little
be dumb.
long.
No,
Seems
no.
a
I remember
little
I
long.
looked it up and it said something like falling
minute-
182 seconds.
3 minutes and
So-
2-second intro.
Is that
maybe?
maybe
I don't
that's
know.
what that Red Bull dude did back in the when he jumped up from the atmosphere.
Yeah.
Are we going to find out in a future episode? Because in the very beginning, you see something landing on Earth in the ocean off the coast of Florida.
Yeah.
So is that them coming back, and we're gonna there's gonna be some wrap up of this of 182 seconds?
You're gonna be like, Mars failed, we're coming back.
I feel like that might be it.
That would be
Maybe.
depressing.
I'd
I
be-
feel
Really?
like that's it.
I would be pissed.
yeah.
I don't know. I feel like that's the little spoiler is that like
Because we only have one episode left.
well
Until-
yeah because
for the end
in
of
one
the year,
episode
yeah.
we're not going to get to a shining city on the hill where everything's going great. Right?
Well,
we're gonna
wait a minute, because remember they went from a pit in the ground to a half
Yeah.
in about 5 minutes. So
The last episode is just going to be entirely montage where it just goes through like
procreating,
500
babies
years.
being born on
it's
Mars.
gonna be Hannah talking like everything went well after that point, and then it just cuts to like Mars, and then she's like,
people driving.
then I
cars.
turned into an old lady, and then Mars became a livable place.
She's in the back of a ship, like
Yeah.
the Titanic.
And
the
the-
pros, but-
exactly. It's like the Titanic.
Yeah.
Play the song.
The graveyard just tripled. So
Waited 2 seconds, baby.
And then we discovered time travel.
I can drop my little alien doll into the ocean so that people can find it years later when they make the movie about Mars.
well, let us know
Bunch
what
of
you
years
think.
later.
Let us know if you think that the episode is going to end with them coming back to Earth because it failed. I don't know. Or maybe this is just a mid-season stop and it's going to keep going. But
Mid-season finale.
yeah, I'm just not. I mean, okay, what character do you care about most right now?
Robert.
I
like Robert.
Javier and Lavender because they're they're a couple. I mean I honestly care more about the interns. I think that I hope that some of them get introduced and are
Right,
cool.
Brent,
That,
who
that
do you
are
care
Paul.
about? Paul.
Of course.
He's just out there like I was never a human to begin with.
He's still laying on the ground.
He's actually there. He's a Martian, and he's there just to sabotage the Mars mission. He's like, they can't discover life on Mars. No.
But if I'm being serious, probably Lavender and Javier.
Yeah,
I guess. I guess.
Just
Yeah.
I like
Reluctant.
Javier. Javier seems.
His fiery passion.
Although Robert gets them out of a lot of problems. I mean, Robert's
true.
there
Yeah.
all
He
the time.
definitely
He's
fixes
reliable.
everything.
Yeah, he's-
Robert's
He doesn't
Rob
get as
the
much
Builder is
screen
what I'm
time.
calling
He
him.
almost
So-
lost it this week though.
He did.
Yeah.
But wouldn't you if you're out, in a dust storm? I do want to ask one question though. You're out in the dust storm. You can't see well. You know this might happen. Don't they have some kind of radar or sonar that they could use?
I'm curious if a compass would work. If a
Also, an
compass would work-
electromagnetic thing to find the cable. Even a cell phone.
Or a
might have.
heat seeker.
Heat seeker.
Well,
right.
would radar work with all the dust?
Okay, but radar like I don't know.
Yeah.
You're right. Radar probably wouldn't work, but something just some
Future
LiDAR.
radar.
Yeah, I mean, it's the
radar,
future,
right.
right?
Right.
Also, wouldn't they? I feel like they would have robots to be able to fix this. Like,
Yes,
come on.
there's no robots.
Yeah.
In 2037,
You're right.
we better have some.
We
damn
already
robots.
have robots.
Yeah, they have this rover that they have to get into.
Right.
It would just be a little remote controlled rover to be like,
You send
oh,
Wally
well,
out
that's
there.
what's wrong with the junction
Get
box.
Wally out there
Also,
to fix it.
Exactly.
They have holograms.
Junction box.
Yeah, they have holograms, but no robots.
There are
Like,
holograms.
They do have an AI that tells them stuff.
The voice keeps changing. Am I the only one who notices this? It's a British voice that keeps getting different every week.
I mean,
This
it's
week was
different
very
patches.
Cockney.
It's closed.
It was not.
enter.
It wasn't as posh this week.
have
You're
to
losing
save your
some
solar panels.
Oh, you're losing your bloody
Oi.
oxygen supply!
Don't go near that door. It's not locked, you know.
That's the other thing, though. Like, I would imagine we're already at this point in like we have technology that can use like cameras and use computer vision to just kind of understand things. You'd think that maybe by 2037 we would have AI that'd be like, "Hey, I think there's a problem with Paul."
So let's go around and let's make a prediction.
Okay.
Guess who's gonna die next.
Okay.
So I'm gonna guess that there's gonna be a new character introduced in the next episode that's going to die.
Okay.
Not immediately. It'll be like towards the end of the episode, and then everyone will be. I guess I don't know if they're gonna be sad or not.
Okay.
Okay, my guess is Ed. I think that fake Elon. Woo! Cut that! Kidding.
Stated.
I think that fake Elon is going to get sick or something, and he's not going to be able to go to Mars. And then everyone's going to be like, "Well, the leader of the mission is dying, so why would we keep funding it?" Because apparently that's what would happen in this world.
Interesting.
That could explain, like, maybe he has cancer, and maybe he's hiding that, and that's why he's trying to push the progress so much, because he's got a limited time frame left on his life.
Okay. I
I
like
kind of
it.
like this theory. I'm gonna go with either Javier or Lavender. Just they've established now, I guess, in
That
the last
they-
episode
that
that
they
they
care about
actually
each
are an
other.
item.
Tragic
So,
love loss.
Yes. So how are we
That's a
gonna
good
deal
one.
with that?
I'm going to fit into your theory where they run out of funding, and now the whole mission has to be pulled, and there's just one ship that has to leave Mars with the crew. Maybe it's only part of the crew, and that's what we see landing on Earth at the beginning.
I was gonna say it could be Marta because she's like barely in the show.
Okay.
She's like she just shows up to drink some vodka and fly some drones
Yeah.
every now and again.
Right.
And she hasn't
So-
been able to fly them in weeks. So.
Yeah. So
She's an also annoying character.
she's gonna
And last
I don't know,
question.
bad batch
The
of
wife
vodka
of
kills her.
Paul was pretty annoying.
True.
I want.
yeah.
She's not dead yet either.
Oh,
I
she's
don't.
not
I don't
dead.
know. I don't know if she's likely to die, but I want her to.
This
die.
is gonna be a wake up call
I
for her.
really
I think
don't
she'll
like-
change. I
She
think
has
she'll
to
be-
bury his body, though, don't you think? So that. while she's out there burying his body, a Martian could attack her. Okay, so which one of you thinks that you could make it through the 12 months just on Earth in a HAB simulator? I'm not saying you have to go to Mars, but if we set up a HAB simulator tomorrow, which one of you could make it through the 12 months?
No.
If I was getting paid.
If I made it through, would I get to go to Mars?
You'd be on the short list, sure.
Yeah, me.
Wow.
What would money do for you?
I think that
And,
I was picturing myself being that guy looking out the window. And I was thinking, like, if I was, like, thinking at the time, like, oh, I'm getting paid a lot of money for this, I'd be like, this is relaxing.
But
But if I wasn't, I'd be like, what the
Well,
Interesting.
okay, but like, okay, so if you're thinking about this as a prep for Mars, money doesn't do anything on Mars.
Right.
Money has.
Well,
no
then
value.
I guess I wouldn't make it.
Interesting.
Yeah, no, yeah, no,
Definitely
I would
wouldn't
not
make it.
The money.
Definitely, I'd go crazy for sure.
Yeah.
I feel crazy like from getting like 4 hours of sleep a night for like a week straight. So I don't know how it lasted a year.
We'd make sure that you got more sleep on Mars.
Yeah, is that what would happen?
Yeah.
Well, you wouldn't have to do anything.
I feel
Just
like I
wake
would
up.
just-
But they were just saying how like people start to have insomnia and like all
yeah.
these like things, and I already
We
had
drug
problems
them.
with that anyway. So
we drug you.
I feel like it would just be really
Is there a lot of
boring.
Ambien coming
Yeah, I
to
think it would
Mars?
There's
And-
just like.
well, I
not
mean, there'd be
much to
lots
do.
of science to do, but
Yeah,
but yeah.
I'd probably have panic
Oh.
attacks. I'd probably-
maybe.
Yeah, I feel
Maybe
like
an
if it was
Xbox
the
One or
size of
something.
that little
Do
dome
all right.
that they showed, or even those tubes that they showed in
Oh.
Russia, yeah, I couldn't do it. It'd
Like,
be too.
ooh.
That'd be a little too.
I couldn't even I can't
claustrophobic.
even be
Yeah.
confined to my house for that long. I
Right.
like just want to leave and go somewhere,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Yeah.
So I definitely would not be able to last inside a little pod.
You
or
could
anything
go
like that.
out into the Mars environment.
Well, but not in the
Mars.
simulations, right? They're
I think they're
locked in the
confined to
lab.
stay inside.
Yeah, I don't
Well,
think
on
they're
the,
allowed
on
to
the
go inside.
Mauna Lea one, they can go out in HAB suits and
Just
walk
kind of bounce around in a
on the
little
pod.
space
Imagine
suits
though,
or whatever,
like
but
they like can't go outside. You can't go outside for a year.
Yeah.
No fresh
So
air.
basically, Bobby's out definitely.
I
I
think
would-
zero gravity wouldn't be.
Brent's out.
I feel like that'd be a
Brent
weird
out.
Yes.
7-month experience. I don't know how I would like. I
So
don't
it
know how
seems
much I
like,
would like that.
Jesse's our only hope at the moment.
yes.
And he's
Yeah,
only
Jesse-
saying he can do it. I don't know if he can do it. But it'll be fine.
I
Okay,
feel
we
like
got-
Jesse.
we-
if
that'll
I
be
anyone
our
here
next
can do it,
Next,
episode.
now you know. Yeah, we're gonna
Put
test
Jesse
you.
to the test.
Jesse confined for a year. Let's do it.
I think it should be under the computer, right? So just like in a little.
What's in a top
This is a different test you're doing.
All right,
How
well,
long can we torture
well,
Jesse?
thank you for watching. This is episode 5 of Talking Mars. Next week we'll see what
Yeah.
happens, and it looks like it's either a season finale or a mid-season finale.
Dramatic conclusion.
Yeah.
It'll be dramatic, that's for sure.
Yeah.
How much crazier can we get?
All right. Thanks for watching.
Now you know.
Thank you so much for watching this episode of Now You Know. We hope that you really enjoyed it. If you haven't subscribed yet, definitely get on that. If you're subscribed, you're going to be able to see when the next episode comes out and see all of our other cool episodes. If you are subscribed and you like the content that you're seeing, please consider supporting us on Patreon. It really helps us do the things that we need to do. It doesn't need to be that much. $2 or $3 a month would go a long way. You know, some people equate it to sort of buying us a cup of coffee, but most of us don't drink coffee, so it's actually, you know, going to be even better spent. So thank you so much for watching.
Now you know.
Now you know.